Hello and welcome to Think, Create, Initiate podcast, hosted by Grace and Charlotte. This podcast will focus on key tools, techniques, insights to help you start and grow a profitable business while still in a job or in small pockets of time. We have a strong desire to help as many female entrepreneurs as possible to create a business from a passion that is unique to them, following our proven 4-part formula for success. So whether you're listening on the go or sitting back and relaxing, make sure you enjoy and implement any takeaways you learn today.
And we are live. We are live. I am excited to be here in this space with this beautiful woman to this side of me. Yeah. Right. Let me just double check. If you just bear with me, Nikki. Let me just.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We are in the right place. Excellent. So as and when you jump on, please do let us know that you're there and that you're watching. Today, we're going to have a really great conversation. And, I've got an amazing lady next to me. We're going to delve in deep, hear more about what she does, what her story is, her journey, etc. And it's also the opportunity for you that are listening within our private membership to also ask any questions that you may have as well. And for those listening on the podcast, if you've got any insights, if you've had any insights from this or any takeaways, please do share as well, because we love to read and see all of that. And I'm sure Nikki will come back to read and see all the reviews and insights and takeaways as well.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, look, let's crack on. Let's dive in, Nikki. So just by way of introduction, Nikki, I would love for you just to tell us who you are and what exactly you do, please.
Absolutely. So my name is Nikki Krosick, and I'm a copywriter, and I've been a copywriter for more than 15, getting real close to 20 years. And so I've been writing copy since I was 6 years old. But I've written for multi-billion-dollar companies down to solopreneurs and every size business in between. And then I also, in addition to writing copy and being a freelancer, which I still do for a limited number of clients, I also teach people how to become professional copywriters.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. So you cover that entire spectrum of, just and everything else in between. That's quite a massive spectrum. That's brilliant.
It is. And you learn a lot from working with multi-billion-dollar companies, and you learn a lot from working with solopreneurs. So
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and we'll definitely delve into that a bit later on in the questions. But I would love to know, Nikki, at the age of 6 then, what inspired you, or how did you fall into or get into copywriting?
Yeah, actually, when I was in high school, my dad was a marketing director, and he would bring home extra work for me to do and then give me feedback on it, which was obviously incredibly helpful, though I didn't realize it at the time, because I went to school for public relations, discovered I didn't like public relations. No offense to anybody, any public relations practitioners, you're wonderful. It's not for me. And then worked in a health club for a while and did events. And the whole time was kind of going, this isn't right for me. I'm not writing, but, a lot of people who love to write grow up hearing, oh, writers never make any money. If you want to write, you're going to have a day job. And the other half of my parental equation, my mom knew that I was going through all of this and sent me a book. I mean, literally, this was before Amazon was big. So she went to the store, put it in an envelope, sent it out to me. I know, right, moms? Yeah. And it was, the book itself was something like, I don't know, like the 6-figure writer, something like that. And the book itself was, I don't know that it was overly useful. It had advice like, you need a fax machine for your home office. So, but what it did was remind me that copywriting was an option, because even though I'd done it before, I just kind of forgot. Yeah. And from there, I just I dug in and started working and landing clients and left and right. And it's been a wonderful journey. It's a fantastic career.
Yeah, no, I bet. I just the power of copy is, it's massive. So before we go further, is there a difference between copywriting and content writing?
That's a great question. Yes, there is. And a lot of people don't understand that, which can be a big problem. Copy is writing that is designed to sell or to persuade. Right. So you're literally trying to get someone to take action. Yes. Whereas content, or the way I'll explain it sometimes to our students is, you're making a connection between a target audience who has a want or a need and a company or an organization who has the best solution to that want and need. As the copywriter, you're making the connection by writing copy that resonates with that target audience, that makes them go, oh yes, this is what I need. Whereas content, which is more like your blog posts, that kind of thing, that is writing that's designed to educate, to entertain, or to inspire. Those are your listicles or your quizzes or your how-to posts or that kind of thing. Yes. But it has a very different purpose. And I think that kind of confuses people sometimes. But knowing that your copy, the writing on your website, in your emails, that kind of thing has one purpose, and your content has a different purpose, really generally to kind of nurture your audience. Yes. I think that helps people kind of understand what they're supposed to be doing as they're writing in those two different areas.
Yes. Okay. That makes so much sense. Okay. So copy is the art of using the written word to persuade, to sell effectively, to lead them somewhere, call to action. Okay. That's very powerful then. So with that in mind then, obviously none of us are as skilled as you when it comes to copy.
Real quick. So if you are loving this episode, then we would love you to just go ahead and make our day and take a quick screenshot and upload it to your Instagram stories, and also tag us at Female Startups Community. Now, when you do this, because we just love to be the gift that keeps on giving, we will enter you into our monthly prize draw and announce the winner at the end of the month. And you will be in for the opportunity to win a free cash flow immersion session with us. This is a 90-minute session whereby we deconstruct your business idea or your business model and help you rebuild it, repackage it back up so that you've actually got a profitable action plan to lead with. So we would love for you to go ahead and do that. If you've always wanted to work with us and you would love for us to have those extra pair of eyes on your business idea, on your business model, and get you making money, making bank this month as well. Plus, also by sharing it on Insta stories, we also have the opportunity to reach more people just like you, so they can get to find out about us and the show. And that really feeds into our big mission, Vision Possible, which is to financially empower 1 million women globally to move towards a life of freedom and flexibility, creating a life on their terms. Well, that's enough for me. Now back to the episode.
For the lame person who hasn't yet invested in a copywriter such as yourself, what would you say are the key areas for them to think about when it comes to writing copy?
Absolutely. I mean, every business owner, unless somehow you're coming in with tons of money, which I bless you and good luck to you if you are, fantastic. But everybody kind of starts out as their own copywriter. And I should say too, for everybody who's listening, if you are looking at your own messaging and you're thinking, this is mind-boggling, or you're really struggling with it, that is natural. Even copywriters, when we're writing about ourselves, it's the hardest for us to do. It's the hardest project. So if you are trying to write about your business and you're really struggling, first of all, understand that that's very natural. It's also an entire career. So if you're trying to take on and do the work that someone, which you have to.
Because you're literally wearing all the hats, So
exactly.
It's some grace, go easy on yourself, please.
Yeah, Be gentle.
Yes.
And the good thing is that before you're ready to get to the point where you eventually, because we'll all have our big successful businesses and you will be able to hire a copywriter. But before that, there are some key elements that you want to focus on. First of all, whatever project you're taking on, whether it be a web page, whether it be an email, a landing page, whatever, know what the purpose of that page is. When someone gets to that page, what do you want them to do? What action do you want them to do? Because it can be very easy to go, oh, I have to write an email. So I'm just going to sit down and kind of, and that's often where it kind of goes off the rails, right?
Yes.
Where you kind of, and you look down and you go, I don't, thanks, and then throw your name on it, you know. But when you go into a project going, okay, my purpose of this landing page is to get people to opt in for my free ebook. So that is my purpose. What information do I have to convey to convince them to do that? What is going to entice them to convince them to do that? So keeping that in mind as you go through each individual project is going to make things a lot easier. And then also really focusing on the benefit to consumer, what someone gets out of taking that action you want them to take. So yes, you want them to opt in for an ebook, but you know, nobody goes, oh, I really want an ebook. Yes. What they want is the solution that ebook provides, or the transformation that ebook provides. So what is, when you want someone to do something, what are they going to get out of it? What is the benefit to them of opting in for your ebook, of opening your email, of, you know, bigger picture, purchasing your product or your service? What is, and you know, you may have a couple of different benefits, but what is the transformation that they're going to experience? Because that's what people really want. They want a new and better life, and sometimes that's a small new and better life. You know, I purchased what's it called, eyelash growth serum on Instagram. Instagram's got my number. Boy, do I spend a lot of money on there. It's a small, silly little thing, right? But the transformation I wanted to have long, lovely lashes and to feel confident, about make my eyes, pop and that kind of thing. It's a small transformation, but it's still a transformation. I wanted to feel beautiful, and I wanted to feel like I have beautiful lashes. So it could be a big, if you sell a course in managing your health, or that could be a big transformation, but the transformation could still be relatively small, but it's still important to your target audience. No,
I totally agree. It's their secret desires that they haven't told anybody else, or those inner motivators. And like you said, it can seem quite small and superficial, but to feel good and look good, that's massive in itself. So that's the highest level of transformation that we would all love to feel. At any given point. So, Nikki, we've got a question. I can't see who's online just because of the way StreamYard does it. But how does anyone recognize when they're moving from copywriting to waffling?
To waffling, great question. So the thing about copywriting, and part of what makes it so challenging, is that there should be a purpose for every word that you're putting into whatever message you're creating. Now, being that you guys are not professional copywriters, I won't hold you to that too hard, but there should be a purpose really for every line that you're putting into anything. Like in an email, for example, if you want to tell a story because it conveys a point, which then gets them to take the action that you want them to take, then you have kind of a natural progression. But also in that story, you should have a purpose for every line within that story, because it carries it to the next point. And so it's, you find yourself waffling, you find yourself going off the rails when you are, number one, forgetting the purpose of whatever that project is. And number two, when you're not conveying, when all of your copy isn't conveying people toward toward that purpose, toward taking that action. Because it's like a funnel, right? Is people, where are we, StreamYard? Okay, so, you know, starting off at the top and really kind of in just one piece of copy, guiding people down to the point where essentially taking that action is like inevitable. It's a no-brainer at that point.
Brilliant, brilliant. And that was from Jackie, actually. Thank you, Jackie, for just letting us know. Your name didn't show. Thank you. So, Nikki, when you refer to copy, are we just talking about the written word, or is it all encompassing the spoken word, you know, the many different forms of conveying a message, essentially?
Yeah, absolutely. If the purpose is to persuade or to sell, then yeah, I mean, and a lot of it too starts a webinar or a training like that. It probably starts with, started with a script or at least some key messaging points. And the same thing with a speech. It probably has a script, but you go into it with intention, unless of course it's a speech that is in fact, you know, just an educational speech. But if you are doing something where you want people to take an action, then it really all comes back to copy.
It really is a beautiful art and science what you're doing, because, you know, copy is, you know, this is persuasive psychology, essentially. You're a psychologist.
Yes. Yeah, I think people might take issue with that, but
it's drilled down.
Yeah, you do. You have to really put yourself in your target audience's shoes. You know, sometimes as entrepreneurs, there are things that we love about what we have to sell. You know, like, oh, people are gonna, but that's not actually what they want or what they consider to be most important to them. You have to put yourself in your target audience's shoes and go, okay, what they really want is this. And sometimes it's a matter of you know, selling them the chocolate and giving them the vegetables along with that chocolate, because you know they're going to need the vegetables, but they don't want to buy the vegetables. They want to buy the chocolate.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And when it comes to email, because all of our ladies here, you know, they're growing an email list, you know, from scratch. So, you know, because email, it's the golden thread, you know, that all our businesses should have.
Absolutely.
So is there a particular etiquette to writing emails, to writing copy in emails that sell, that converts? You know, does it start, obviously it starts with the headline to get people to actually open the email. And then also to add to that point, Nikki, is there a certain length of email should be, or of course, if it's very intentional, very hyper-focused, it doesn't matter how long the email is as well?
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right on there. If the messaging is great and it has people hooked in and they want and all of the information in all the copy in that email is intentional and useful and beneficial to the reader, then I mean, it could be, as long as it is all elements, wow, every element of that email is useful to the reader, beneficial to them. It could be super long, but they want all of it. So, you know, they might save it and go break it down a little bit, but it can be as long as it needs to be. But at the same time, you don't want to pack an email with extra stuff, because and be careful too about long paragraphs. Anything that makes something look like a slog to read, nobody's going to read. But if it's useful information, if it's stuff they're interested in and they want, then yeah, they're going to read it. But that's a great point about the subject line too, because you could have the best email in the world, like it could be so good, but if your subject line isn't good, they're going to delete the email and no one's ever going to see your wonderful, you know, email. And generally subject lines, you want to go one of two directions. One, very benefit focused. So they know what they're going to get out of this email, what the thing for them, what their benefit is within that email. Here's why you should open it. Here's this great thing inside. Or, which solopreneurs can get away with a little bit more than your bigger companies, a curiosity route. But it has to be genuinely curiosity, you know, I think, it has to genuinely pique someone's curiosity. You know, we'll all see subject lines that are like, I thought this the other day, ... no, I don't. I don't care what you thought the other day. Delete. And they think that they're piquing my interest, but it has to really be something like, even when I thought this the other day, I gasped. Just something to add a little bit more interest, a little bit to dial it up a little bit. I think a lot of people put so much focus on the body of the email and getting that really, really good. And then they go, oh yeah, I also need a subject line. So let me just throw something in there. And unfortunately that nosedives the whole email, because they didn't take the effort to take the time to really create a subject line that's going to make people go, oh, I want to open that. And if they don't open it, like I was saying, there's no point to the email.
Exactly. Yeah. Because just think about, the hundreds of emails we get every single day. We're signed up to so many emails. What's going to actually stop the scroll and make you look?
Yes.
And I have to say, on the point of the curiosity subject header that you just said, myself and Charlotte, one of our most converting emails has actually been the subject header, quick question, ? And people are curious. Okay, what's this quick question? Yeah.
And too, I love that it's quick question, not even just we have a question, but it's quick. So they're like, all right, well, all I have to do is just open this up and it's quick. So what do I lose by opening this email? I love that. Yeah. Very smart.
So it really works for us. So every now and again, we try and throw it in there just to ramp it up on the email side of things. So brilliant. So Jackie said, thanks for that answer. We've got another question. When writing copy, do you always have to think about the SEO? How much focus should you be giving about SEO?
SEO is really much more focused in your content, in your blog stuff. That's where it really matters. In your copy on your website, there's not going to be enough of it to substantially make a huge difference. Also, when you're writing copy for your website, you're naturally going to use the right keywords, right? If you make hats for dogs, I'm sure there are people who do, but if you make hats for dogs, it's very likely like the headline of your website might be stylish hats for dogs, something like that. So your keywords are naturally going to be in your copy to begin with. And if there's a big problem if you're trying to use different keywords and they don't match with the messaging you're trying to get across. But when you think in terms of like trying to get keywords in there multiple times, trying to get them in multiple places, that's really going to come much more so when it comes to blog content. But it's also, I mean, we all know SEO is important, but it's a long-term strategy. I mean, you start SEO now and you see the benefits, and you should see those benefits. And so definitely SEO, but you'll see those benefits like years down the line, or at least months. It's not a quick fix. Yeah.
I agree, definitely. So in the online space then, Nikki, in your kind of, when you're looking around, just checking out, what's going on, are there any sort of copy howlers that you've seen, like kind of the do's and don'ts when it comes to copy, or copy that's just horrendously, kind of irks you, like, oh God, no.
It's there are a couple of things. I think sometimes people think, well, I'm writing copy and therefore it must be clever or it must be funny, or clever or funny for the sake of being clever or funny. Just they don't connect. If your copy doesn't stay true to its purpose of trying to convey the benefit to consumer, then there's no point to it. And really, I think that's the biggest mistake that I see people make is they forget to talk about how they, when we're sitting at home all day, we're working on our businesses, we're very focused on, but every time that you go out into the world, every time that you metaphorically go out into the world with your copy, you send your emails, you update your website, it needs to be focused from you on your clients and what they need and what they want and what they're thinking. And I think that is the biggest mistake that especially newer entrepreneurs make, is they talk or they use just terms that they know, not necessarily terms that their target audience knows. Or like I was saying, I love this element. And so this is what I'm really going to focus on for selling my course. But if you talked to your target audience, they'd go, that's okay. I guess that's a nice bonus. But what I really want is this. So, and that's an important thing too, is take the time to talk to your target audience. I know, first of all, it's like, to get on the phone with somebody. And then two, there's a little bit of like, nerves, maybe, especially if you're a newer entrepreneur, but it is invaluable to get on the phone with them or get on Zoom or whatever, record the conversation, because you want to know what their frustrations are, what they're hoping for, what success looks like to them. And you also want to hear the words that they use, because when you repurpose those words, when you use their words right back to them, they automatically are going, oh, wow, she gets me.
Exactly.
Oh, wow, yeah.
They start to raise their hand. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not, sometimes I think copywriters especially think, oh, well, that's cheating if I use the same words that the target audience used. No, that's brilliant. Because, I mean, you could literally use the exact same words that someone just spoke to you, but when you repeat it back to them, it's been proven. When you repeat it back to them, they go, oh, yeah. Not only does she get me, but she's smart. The proven result is there's an increased connection. They also think that you are more intelligent and trustworthy.
Okay, I love that. And I'm glad that you flowed into that answer, because that was actually going to be my next question. Like, how do you reach out to your target audience to actually understand what they need? So I'm really glad that you touched upon that. So kind of doing market research, interviews, calls with your ideal client. Is there anything that you can do online that doesn't have to be on a call? For example, any posts that you can put out there so that you can kind of glean information from your target audience?
Yeah, you can. I do, if you put up a post on Instagram, if you have an active, Instagram following, for example, people who will take the time to message or comment, you could say, all right, what's your biggest frustration with this? But you're automatically kind of self-selecting, or you're automatically forcing them to self-select the kinds of people who comment on posts or take the time to comment on posts. So you might not be getting a true natural selection of your audience. Whereas if you take the time to get on the phone with someone who has purchased before, or someone who hasn't purchased, but you see that they've been on your list for a while and they open your emails, but they just haven't purchased. All right. So you really want to know why that person hasn't purchased. And so, there are, you can put polls up and you can, ask for comments and ask for feedback, but you will not get as high quality of feedback and answers if you just get, and spend an afternoon doing it, schedule it out, record it again, because you're going to want to hear it, but taking the time to talk to people. I think too, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we think, oh, I don't want to impose. Oh, maybe this is going to feel embarrassing. The times that I have done it and gotten on the phone with purchasers and or potential purchasers, people tend to really love it and to feel seen and feel valued and are when it's funny, we're all just real people, right? But when you build an email list and you're sending people emails, there's like this celebrity element, which it feels crazy because it's just us. But when people get emails from you, it's like, oh wow. So taking the time to actually talk with them really, it gives them just a really nice feeling. It can be, and you're getting market research, but they're getting validated, and they feel it's like a compliment almost. Yeah, exactly. Appreciate it. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Exactly.
I love that. And I totally agree with you. Some of us, we really kind of dismiss or discount, the status that we have. But, people are out there reading your content, binge reading, binge listening, etc. So it's really important that you are pouring a lot of love and that intentional focus into your copy. So it's always hitting home. You're speaking their words back at them, really understanding their language, getting inside their heads, so that every time you're putting out a post, they're saying, yeah, that's me. Oh my gosh, that's me. Yeah. How can I buy from you? So you almost turn it around and have people swimming towards you and your offer, rather than you always having to cast the net and, nothing's coming in. You're not getting that traction.
That's exactly it. And that's the goal, really, is to have people clamoring to work with you. People emailing your customer service going, ooh, when can I get this? When is it going to be available? Instead of you trying to push. It's much more about sharing value and putting yourself out there in the world in a way that is useful and valuable and connects with people, which you absolutely can do on a mass scale with email and with posts and with lives and that kind of thing. And the more that you do that, the more that you build that know, like, and trust factor, the more they want, that is exactly it, the more they come to you and they want what you have to offer.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Okay. So Nikki, Charlotte's on. Hello, Charlotte. Charlotte said, so good, Nikki. So much gold that you've dropped today. Please do keep throwing your questions in the chat while we've still got Nikki online. So Nikki, just to expand, I mean, you've dropped a lot of wisdom here today, but aside from, or even honing in on what you've already said, is there any advice that you can give to those listening right now who are just struggling to write copy? They just don't know what to write. They don't, they don't have that inspiration. And, maybe there's a bit of fear actually going out and speaking to their ideal clients as well. Where can they start from? Because essentially you can't build your business based on assumptions. So you do need to know what your audience are actually wanting out there. But I would love to hear from you, just any tips or advice you could give.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it truly is the hardest to write about yourself and to write about your own business. It truly is. And so, yes, after you talked to your target audience, you understand what it is they want. You understand how what you offer meets that desire. One of the biggest mistakes that I see, especially newer business owners, but certainly more experienced business owners do as well, is that when they have to write a piece of copy, they think, okay, well, this is the purpose of this piece of copy. And they just sit down and they try to write top to bottom and go straight through beginning to end. It's that more often than not is going to take you way off the rails. Whereas it's also so intimidating to sit down with like an open Word doc or an open Google Doc and go, okay, now what, whereas if you go into it and you create, you can even keep it in the same document, an outline. What do I want to say? All right. What do we want people to do after they read this email or read this page or whatever? What do we want people to do? Okay, so what do we have to tell them? What is going to be compelling that's going to make them want to do that? What is the benefit to them of doing that? Okay, what are other points that support that? Okay, what do they need to know about that? Okay, what do they need to know about that? And so that, it does not have to be, but you can even write it out if you want to, if that's what you prefer. And you can go in and you can move things around so that, but the goal is to get to the point where taking that action is a very natural progression where they get to like, oh yeah, I have to do this. So go in and outline it and put in a few ideas. Like, oh, one of the interviews had mentioned this word or this phrase. So I definitely want to make sure. So I'm gonna put that in here, and this might make sense with this area over here. Okay, so I'm gonna keep that there, and then maybe this goes over here. It's the at least half of writing is editing, first of all. So you're not done once you're done with your draft, but the third half of writing, all right, so let's say thirds, but the first third is like planning it out, is giving yourself an outline. It's so much easier when you have the bones of what you're trying to say, and you're mostly kind of going in and like connecting these points together. So much easier than trying to sit down and go, okay, I want people to sign up for email. So, and then trying to just fill a page, and then too, so once you have your outline, you have your key points, go in and fill it in with your copy. Then also get up, walk away, give your brain a little time to process that stuff. It's like, I don't know if anybody else does crosswords. I realize it's a very old lady thing to do, but I really love them.
I used to. I've got an app actually, Word something, can't remember.
Yes, exactly. But which is also probably why I love copywriting, because it's kind of like a word game. But there's so many times that you're like, oh, I can't figure out what this is. I can't figure out what this is. You get up and you go and you fold laundry or whatever. You sit back down and you go, oh, of course, that's exactly what this is. When you are writing copy, let your brain do the same thing. Put together your first draft and go, okay, I feel like this is a good place. I'm going to get up and I'm going to don't do TV because that it messes with, your creativity. But go for a walk or do the dishes or do something. Let your brain like work in the background. And then when you come back, then put in some editing time, and go, okay, right, you know what, this, maybe I don't need this. Is this key to the message here? No, I'm going to save it because maybe that's something good. We'll use it later. But it's let your brain work and then come back to it and edit it. Don't try to make it perfect in your first draft, because it doesn't have to be. That's not how anybody needs to work. Give yourself a chance to tweak and go in and make some changes.
I love that. And that will actually help eliminate the art of waffling as well, when you go back and you're able to say, oh my gosh, what was I writing here?
Yes, exactly. And it's true sometimes that you have to go in and kind of be a little bit ruthless. Go, oh yeah, I love this line. Oh, there's kind of no point to this line. Like, oh, but I get my personality across. Okay, yeah, but there's no real point to this. It's gotta go. You know, if it's anything that if there's, we have so few. We have so little of our target audience's attention, right? And it's so easy for them to get pulled away from us, even if they are interested in what we have. So we have to be really sure to include our best stuff in the messages that we put out there, and the stuff is going to keep them interested, and the stuff that's going to keep them reading. So anything that takes away from that, anything superfluous, anything, you know, makes it seem daunting to read, like like I said, you can do a long email. Just break those up into like 1 or 2 line paragraphs. Please, that makes it so much easier.
Lots of white space for me, anyway.
Yes, it's for everybody. If you open an email and it's like paragraph after paragraph, you're like, no, thank you. No,
turn off for me.
Exactly. But if it's a bunch of like short little, and sometimes even like little itty bitty sentences, it feels so much easier to read, and the chances that people will read it increase exponentially.
Yes, I love that. So one final question, and you know, I'll check back on the thread if anyone else has got questions. But a lot of obviously we know people buy into people first.
Yes.
So a lot of entrepreneurs out there, you know, we would love to share our story in a really compelling way. So I would love your thoughts on the best way to do that. Is it to choose one poignant moment in our life to really hone in on that, and then focus that with a very strong call to action, or maybe choose, you know, maybe a varied moments in our life, but trying to keep it concise? What's the best way to share your story online?
Well, it's, you know what it is? It's going to be the message that is, or the story in your life that is most appropriate to whatever you're trying to get them to do, right?
Okay.
If it's a story that directly connects with this product, then that's the one to go with. There's certainly, you know, in my email campaigns, and I'm sure in your email campaigns, I tell a bunch of different stories, but it's all going to be stories that either make a point clearer. Like there's a story I tell about when in my last condo, when I first moved in, everything was white except the bathroom sink, which was almond, which was just terrible. So I was like, oh, you know, I'm a can-do kind of girl. I'm going to go down to Home Depot. I'm going to get a new sink. I'm going to, like, how hard can plumbing be? You just connect a couple pipes, and turns out plumbing is kind of difficult. And I installed a sink that would leak. And then I was really lazy about it and kind of embarrassed. So for like a year, whenever people would come over and use the bathroom, I'd be like, you can't actually use the sink. You need to wash your hands in the kitchen sink, which is just horrendous.
Yes. Yeah.
But the key is that this then allowed me to say, when I finally did call in a plumber, someone who knew what he was doing, he was able to fix it in a matter of moments. And it cost like $20 for him to fix it. And so then what I can say is that then the point I convey is, yeah, you can figure stuff out on your own, but it's so much easier and cost effective and time effective and smarter to just have a professional come in, do it well, and then move on with your life. So, you know, you can have your core origin story, right? You know, the one that the emotional story that called you to create your product or create your service. And, you know, that can be kind of your core story, your why I do this.
Yes.
But there's so many other opportunities to tell stories, to convey to convey points and make people remember points better.
I love that. I love that. So essentially with copy, you should always start with the end in mind first.
Yes.
The call to action. What is it that you're actually leading them to? And then your copy will be based on that. I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, Nikki, this has been such an enjoyable conversation. I've loved it. Learning more about copy and just the whole art of persuasive psychology, which it really is.
It is.
Is there anything else you would love to share with our audience before you go, Nikki?
Yeah. I mean, if anyone is listening to this and thinking, ooh, maybe copywriting is something I'd like to do, something I'd like to learn. My company is Filthy Rich Writer, which to us, being filthy rich means having a job you love, doing it well and getting paid well for doing it. Yes. So you can follow us on social media at Filthy Rich Writer, or if it's something that you're interested in, we do have a free training at freecopywritingtraining.com.
Excellent. Excellent.
But yeah, follow us anyway, because we always have tips about writing copy and how to be a better copywriter no matter what. So we're here for you.
Love it. Love it. And we will definitely drop all your handles and links as well. So I believe this is Jackie said, great. Start with the end in mind and conclude with a CTA. Thank you so much. Invaluable stuff. Well, thank you once again, Nikki.
Yay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, always so much fun. Always so much fun.
Definitely. All right, then. Take care.
Thanks. You too, Grace.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to today's podcast episode. Please be kind enough to leave a review and let me know what your biggest takeaway was from today's episode. Also, are there any future discussions and topics that you want to hear delivered by myself? By leaving a review, it will ensure that not only will this podcast rank higher, but more fabulous women like yourself can get to enjoy more of this great content to take away, absorb, and integrate into their lives. So thank you so much in advance for doing so. Love and light.